Nancy Stokes rents a pricey hotel room and hires a call boy. Meanwhile, across the street, Leo Grande enjoys a cup of coffee in a cafe before heading out for a date with a new client. When he meets Nancy, he compliments her and tries to put her at ease, quickly noticing her nervousness. To help her relax, he suggests they share some champagne and chat for a bit. Nancy, feeling self-conscious about her age, repeatedly brings it up. However, Leo is unfazed, reassuring her that he's had lovers much older than she is. Nancy is a refined and polite woman who spent years working as a school teacher. She has been a dutiful wife and mother, but after her husband's death 2 years ago and her children moving out, she finds herself alone. Upon retiring, she realizes that much of her life is behind her, and yet she never truly enjoyed intimacy with her husband. By booking a hotel room and hiring a call boy, Nancy hopes to experience pleasure for the first time, something she's only read about in books. She initially asks Leo to get intimate right away, but soon becomes uncomfortable. On one hand, she finds his line of work demeaning, but on the other, she doesn't want to continue talking and prefers to get things over with, eager to enjoy the physicality of being with a younger, attractive man. Leo, unfazed, begins to kiss her to help her loosen up, pushing away her fears and inhibitions. Nancy, still anxious, even suggests he take some pills to help, but Leo assures her that he doesn't need them. Realizing the inevitable, Nancy rushes to the bathroom to freshen up and change her clothes. As she takes her time, Leo undresses and makes himself comfortable, eventually getting hungry and grabbing a chocolate bar from the minibar. When Nancy returns, however, the smell of the candy bar bothers her, and Leo quickly brushes his teeth to fix it. He soon realizes that it's not about the candy but rather Nancy's deeper hesitation. She's afraid of being intimate with another man and has second thoughts, offering to pay for the session without going through with it. Leo reassures her that this hesitation isn't weakness but a carefully thought-out decision. For 30 years, her intimate life has been monotonous, and now she has one last opportunity to change things. It's time to crawl under the covers and truly get to know each other. Nancy starts to realize that her young lover is not only attractive but also intelligent and well-educated. She can't understand why he chooses this line of work. However, it doesn't bother him in the slightest. This is his conscious choice, one that makes him feel wanted and appreciated. At the same time, he admits that he keeps this part of his life a secret from his mother, telling her that he works on an oil rig. Nancy has 2 children, a wild daughter and a responsible son who is attending university. She finds them both a bit dull, as they are too well-behaved, much like she has been throughout her life. Trying to connect with her, Leo gently inquires about her late husband's behavior before intimacy. Nancy reveals that her husband was her only partner, and for 30 years things had been exactly the same, routine and predictable. She never experienced any real pleasure or excitement in bed, always following the same script day after day. Feeling unsatisfied and emotional, Nancy sheds a tear, confessing that she always dreamed of surprising her husband, of both giving and receiving pleasure. As a young woman, she had a brief connection with a waiter, but any chance of happiness was interrupted by passers-by. Noticing that Nancy is beginning to relax, Leo leans in and kisses her, proceeding with his job with care and skill, earning his money. During their second meeting, Nancy feels even more comfortable and liberated. Leo doesn't rush her or make her feel awkward, and they converse with ease. Despite this, Nancy remains somewhat tied to her old life as a teacher. She comes prepared with a list of desires, 5 items she hopes to fulfill with Leo in bed. Starting with the first and most challenging, Leo notices that she is still a little shy and encourages her to let go of her inhibitions and fears of judgment. He's confident they can make real progress together. Nancy jokes that even nuns have more experience than her, but she's ready to break free and finally experience something new. However, just as she begins to let go and unbuckles her belt, Nancy becomes nervous, fearing she might not satisfy Leo. He reassures her, joking that the only way she could disappoint him is if she bites him. At that moment, their encounter is interrupted by a sudden phone call. Her daughter is in trouble and needs her mother's advice and support. When Nancy returns, she's ready to pick up where they left off. She suggests they dance to help her relax further. As they move together, Nancy sheds more of her shyness, her face lighting up with a genuine smile. She finally starts to feel free. The couple is once again interrupted by another call from Nancy's daughter, which ruins the romantic mood. Exhausted and frustrated, Nancy doesn't want to answer the phone. Leo teases her, asking if she's ready to pick up and say that her mouth is too busy, but she isn't amused by the suggestion. After dealing with her daughter's issues, Nancy is ready to continue where they left off, insisting they get back to business. But they take their time, and as she leans against Leo, she feels his muscles and asks him to take off his shirt. Admiring her lover's flawless body, Nancy starts to feel self-conscious again. Her breasts sag and her hips are no longer in the shape they once were. Leo, noticing her discomfort, places Nancy in front of the mirror, gently teaching her to appreciate her body just as it is. To ease her tension, he suggests they try some role-playing, but Nancy isn't keen on the idea. Realizing it was a bad suggestion, she starts to cry, too anxious to take Leo's pants off. Leo patiently soothes Nancy, helping her to open up. By the third meeting, she feels more at ease, allowing him to shower her with tender kisses. Though she still struggles to feel true pleasure, she refuses to fake it. Having crossed the second item off her bucket list, Nancy expresses a desire to learn more about Leo personally. However, Leo is firmly against oversharing, explaining that there are certain boundaries that should never be crossed in his line of work. It turns out Nancy had already crossed one of those boundaries. She had used the internet to track down Leo's real name. When she reveals this, Leo becomes furious and begins packing his things to leave. He tells her he won't continue their meetings and will never come back. Guilt-stricken, Nancy apologizes, explaining that she just wanted to feel closer to him and offers to share her real name in return. Leo refuses, angry that she pried into his life. As it turns out, Leo, whose real name is Connor, has a painful past. When he was younger, his mother caught him and some friends at an adult party. Disgusted, she cut him off, telling her friends that he had died. Feeling abandoned, Connor left home and began making a living as a call boy. Furious and hurt, he leaves Nancy's hotel room, but returns a moment later to retrieve his smartphone. He can't find it, and his frustration escalates into a fit of rage, attracting the attention of neighbors and the hotel manager. Eventually, he finds the phone under a chair, bids Nancy farewell, and leaves for good, promising to refund her payment for the meeting. In the fourth meeting, Nancy is again waiting for a call boy at the hotel. While sitting in the car, she spots Becky, one of her former students, now working as a waitress. Nervous about sounding frivolous, Nancy awkwardly tells Becky she's waiting for someone. Nancy plans to sell her car, and when she meets Leo, she thanks him for agreeing to see her again and apologizes for her previous behavior. Feeling confident, Nancy had recommended Leo to her friends and wasn't afraid to mention his real name. Feeling trusted, Leo opens up about his own past and the mistakes he's made. Nancy then calls over Becky and reveals that Leo isn't a buyer but a wonderful lover she's been seeing for the past month. She's already rented a room and is eager to enjoy her time with him. The days of moral lessons and strict decorum are behind her now. Nancy has realized how to live fully and embrace life. Having come to terms with her desires, she advises Becky not to be afraid of her own hidden wants. She explains that pleasure is not a sin but a gift, something everyone should experience at least once. After leaving the cafe, Nancy and Leo head to their room to enjoy each other one last time. After making love, they decide to rest and recover. As she watches Leo lying next to her, Nancy begins to feel something she's never felt before: true enjoyment of herself. For the first time in her life, she fully experiences satisfaction. At the end of their encounter, both realize that this will be their final meeting. Nancy has fulfilled her desires and finally experienced pleasure in its truest sense, so she feels ready to say goodbye to her young lover. Left alone, Nancy gazes at herself in the mirror, and for the first time she sees no flaws. She feels no fear, no shame. She has finally learned to embrace who she is, and with that comes a deep sense of contentment. This is her ultimate happiness. This is where the movie ends.